Welcome to another episode of the Brown Bostonian Show. I am your host, Kevin Parrington Turner. We're here with another episode back. Same I'm gonna try to do every week. It's been hectic up here in New Jersey. I've been able to go to Rutgers, been able to go to Monmouth University, been vlogging, been going to high school games, sports games. A lot of great talent, a lot of great players, future like Division One players. It's been amazing. It's been great. It's been awesome. Hope everyone had a great New Year. Uh, if I didn't see y'all past New Year's, but I know I did. It was cool. Hung out with some friends. So I'm ready to get back into this and have a good time. So we're gonna start with this. The Patriots defeated the Bills this past weekend, 23-16. They didn't play Drake May, like I said before, which I suggested. Instead, they played Joe Milton, who had a good game, had a rushing touchdown, had a passing touchdown. He played amazing, 22 for 29, 241 yards for the Patriots. They was able to score. They was able to do everything they need to do. Drive down the field, convert on third down, convert on fourth downs too. Um, and then as far as the Bills, Mr. Trubisky played. Josh Allen played a snap, I believe, like a run just to keep his streak alive of like starts, and I'm sure for contract reasons and all that stuff. But Mr. Trubisky played 15, 21, 101 yards, a touchdown. The game wasn't really too much to speak of. It's just a cap on the Patriots season. You know what I mean? Like they went 4-13, last in the AFC East. But I do think there was some bright spots. I wouldn't necessarily say the defense per se, but they did okay. Like I said before, like I knew the Patriots would be. But Joe Milton, I know there was speculation in the preseason before, like whether he should be the starter over over Drake May, but he played well when he got the chance. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the Bills' A1 team. It wasn't too much pressure. Patriots got it at home when they already was out of the playoffs. Bills getting ready for the playoffs because they won the AFC East. They already know, they're going to the playoffs. So as far as the Pats concerned, this one was just like a game just to end on a high note. But in a way, it was kind of weird because the draft pick. Obviously, like the Patriots were one of the worst teams this season, so that means they was in contention to win the first draft pick of the NFL draft if they lost this game, but instead they won it and they got number 4. Look, I don't think we don't know who's going to be first. Like for most teams, we don't know who's going to be picked first. For most teams, if they're one seed, typically they want a quarterback, which Shador, Cam Ward, we don't. They could be the number one guys, or obviously Travis Hunter has been, talked about. But I mean, the Patriots need an offensive lineman, unless they feel like they can go and get that in the offseason, which typically the Patriots have a hard time getting wide receivers and skill position players in the offseason through free agency. Typically, those guys don't want to come to New England. And lo and behold, Travis Hunter, he does both. You would have got 2 for 1. But obviously, I'm not really a big proponent of tanking for the draft, especially in New England, especially in Boston. Like, that's just not how we are. We're used to winning. And that's what happened. So I know a lot of people would be mad about it, but I'm not mad about it. That's just not our MO. And I just don't think that's the Patriots MO. I'm sure, who knows, maybe Robert Kraft wanted that. Maybe a lot of fans wanted that. But I think it just says a lot. I think if that did happen, they try to tank, it would be a complete shift. I mean, they didn't put Drake May in. So maybe in a way they wanted to lose, but they didn't. They still played because you always got guys on the roster that are trying to fight for the next job. So, I mean, job next year or job on another team next year. But nonetheless, that's it. The Patriot season is done. It was just looking back on it. It was tough. They got some close wins over okay teams, the Jets, the Bengals, but those teams struggled as well. So, I mean, there was some bright spots with the new coach in Jerod Mayo, who I'm gonna get to soon. But there was bright spots with Drake May, who came in the middle of the season as I expected, and he did pretty good. He showed that he's that guy, and the Patriots don't need to draft another quarterback. I mean, hell, you got Joe Milton, the third, as a backup. We don't need to draft another quarterback. Although I would have loved to have Shador. He was a year later, and we already got a quarterback. So I understand. I completely understand that. But nonetheless, I think the Patriots need alignment. I think they need alignment, or they could get a skill player. It just all depends. But the season itself was lackluster. One of the top teams in sacks allowed, pressure allowed, and not being able to get to the ball, not being able to get to the quarterback on defense. The secondary held up as best as they could. Honestly, I don't think there was any pushovers on defense, or sometimes they probably lacked toughness. But with the special teams being the way it wasn't good. And the offense not converting on third downs or driving down the field or dominating the time of possession, I think the defense got a little bit more critics on their tails than need be, because they did force turnovers. They did, force some punts. They did have a lot of good looks, but you got to understand, even Matthew Judon went to the Falcons before the first season was played. There was something going on already. So for the Patriots season, it's a dud. Coach Belichick's on in North Carolina. Jerod Mayo, he did the best he could with what he got, and he didn't have much, which will lead me to my rant soon. But if I just had to grade this season for the Patriots, it's a D. It really would be an F if it wasn't a first-year head coach, but it's a D. It's a D, probably a D minus, and that's where I grade it. Now, after the game, Jerod Mayo was fired as the head coach from the head coaching job for the New England Patriots. After just one season, 4-13, I seen Rob Gronkowski almost go off on a Fox show when discussing it. And I have my own thoughts of it, and here they are. I think it's complete BS what Jerod Mayo had to go through. I hate to make everything about a race thing, but how can you not in these situations? I said it before, and I posted on my blog, the brownbostonian.com, when they hired him. And I posted that I don't like this hire, not because I think Jerod Mayo wouldn't be a good coach. I think he would be. I didn't like it because you're setting him up to fail, and I see where this is going. And then I posted in Patriots group chats. Everyone's just always like, oh, it's always about race. Just let it happen. I hate when people do this, that, and the third, and they don't see through it. And I'm just like, it's right there. It's right there. Before the season start, Matthew Judon left, had an attitude, wasn't feeling it, didn't come to practice a couple of times, and then he got traded to the Falcons. Cool. Bailey Zappi, he's really not that guy. Some people hyped him up because he was a backup and he played a couple of games and they won the year before. He's not that guy. Mac Jones goes to Jacksonville. He's not that guy. We draft Drake May. Coming off of Bill Belichick. And you're in New England, so there's always going to be a lot of hype behind the team. Didn't sign any free agents, wide receiver-wise, that were good. Young receiving group, to say the least. Injuries ridden them. Cornerbacks left, secondaries left, guys retired, and you just throw a black coach into the head coach position for one of the most illustrious programs in sports history that has had a dynasty. And of course he's gonna not do good. Of course the team's not gonna do good. I knew that. But what I don't like, because he's his first year head coach, what I don't like is that it makes it easier for him to be fired because they don't do good. So now after 1 year, he gets fired when you didn't give him any tools. You didn't give him much. I don't like it because look at Brian Flores. Same thing happened in Miami. They asked him to tank. He said no. They won games, and I think he tried to bring him to the playoffs one year, and then he got fired. Now he's still in the NFL, but he's not as a head coach. And then what happens? Now Now they get white head coaches, and now they look like they're the guys that can do it all and actually could be leaders. But you just gave them more. You just gave them more tools. You gave them better players. Matter of fact, you tell the black coaches to tank so they can get good draft picks. And now when they get fired and they put a white head coach, now they got the draft pick. Now they got free agency. They're spending money, and now they look like they know what they're doing. Hello, don't forget the Miami coach right now when he was doing all these numbers things, technically go for it on fourth down. And a year ago, 2 years ago, when Tyreek Hill was doing really good and Tua, and they made it to the playoffs, and they was one of those teams that was like we was talking about. I mean, it looked great. Now where they at now? They didn't win the AFC East. They struggled too. Because it's not a matter of skills. It's not. It's just a terrible way of just keeping black men and black coaches out from the head coaching spot. And I hate that because Jerod Mayo wasn't given a fair shot. And I think anyone who knows football understands that. And not saying every head coach is given a fair shot, but given one season when your best defensive player was traded before the first game was never going to help. I don't know what was expected, and that's also just another thing of sports too. It's just easy to fire head coaches after a season, after 2 seasons. Look, people saying Mike Vrabel could be the head coach. I'm not mad at it. He was a guy that helped the Patriots win Super Bowls as well on defense. What difference does it make from him with Jerod Mayo? Because he was in Tennessee and helped him bring it to the playoffs. But once he didn't bring him to the playoffs, a couple of seasons, consecutive seasons after making him to the playoffs, he got fired. It's going to be the same thing. He just had more to work with. He had an easier division at the time. The Patriots don't have an easy division. They got the Bills. They got the Dolphins with Tua, with Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle, with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Not that they were good. The Sauce Gardner, it was a tough division. What did you expect? You had a rookie quarterback and no help, no offensive line. It just blows my mind, and I hope people can see through it. I said it earlier before, and every time you mention race, for some reason, there's always some people that are just like, nah, that's crazy. I hate when you do it because of sports. Just let the man coach. He got the head coaching job. What are you complaining for? This, that, and the third. And now you see it. Goes 4-13, and now all of a sudden he's fired, and it's terrible. Because who are you going to bring in next? You bring in Mike Vrabel. Let's just say we don't know, or Bill O'Brien, who's back in Boston College, who was in Texans, who's with the Texans. He brought him to the playoffs maybe 1 or 2 times. Got smoked by Bill Belichick every time, and then it didn't work out. Then he got let go. Then he went back to the Patriots. So then he went to Boston College and went to the Patriots. Oh, he went to Alabama as offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Then came to the Patriots. Then went to BC once Bill Belichick left. It's just the same kind of routine, and I'm not liking it. Mike Tomlin is really the only guy from the Steelers, and that's just because he hasn't had a losing season. Do you see how high the bar needs to be in order to keep your job as a black head coach? The man has not had a losing season, bro. That's crazy. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He only has 1 Super Bowl. I don't care. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame already if he ended it today. But look how high the bar needs to be for a black coach. And he did with Roethlisberger. That was years ago. Mike McCarthy is getting killed. But he's probably going to keep his job. He's probably going to get another head coaching job, which is fucking insane. He won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. But once Aaron Rodgers didn't like him, he had to leave. And Aaron Rodgers left too. It's insane. I also think in some sense, the ownership of the Patriots, I see kind of now why Bill Belichick had so much power as the GM and the head coach when he got the job, because as we can see, it's all over the place when you kind of let ownership make all the decisions. I think we got to kind of figure some things out in New England, because as a fan, the season was not good. It just wasn't. And it wasn't the Patriots' way of doing things. And it wasn't because of necessarily the record. Yeah, in Boston, we like to win. We always win. But it wasn't that. We've had bad seasons. Every teams, the Celtics, the Red Sox, the Bruins, Patriots. Like they've all had bad seasons, consecutive bad seasons. I was around when I was a kid. The first game I went to was the Antoine Walker days in the Paul Pierce way before the big three, which I'm sure a lot of kids don't even know, when they was trash for a lot of years. It happens. But what we saw this season, it wasn't the Patriot way. It was just terrible mistakes, terrible holes on offense, on defense. The special teams just wasn't it, which we're not even accustomed to. We look over it a lot, but the special teams for New England usually doesn't give up big plays. It's the simple things that the Patriots do really well that always keeps them in games. You never know they have been in games. It was just a lot of things that wasn't what we're accustomed to and seeing the Patriots play. Nonetheless, I hope Jerod Mayo the best, and I hope he's able to find a head coaching job somewhere else. I hope he's able to maybe go to college, FBS, and figure it out there, even though it's a little bit more tricky, I think, at the college level right now with all the NIL deals. But I'm wishing him the best because I do think he has potential to be a great coach with the right tools around him and the right people around him, right players around him. New England's always a tough place to have your first head coaching job, but it is what it is. The cycle continues. I'm sure when a white coach comes in and gets the Patriots to a playoff team by being 9-7 or 10 and like, 9-8 or 10-7, something like that. And then for the next couple of years, they're gonna make it to the playoffs, and he gets fired, and we start all over again until we find a superstar quarterback. That's what happens with the Chiefs. That's what happens with the Ravens. It happens with a lot of teams in the NFL. That's kind of just seems like the cycle of how it goes. Nonetheless, it is what it is. We're moving on. Celtics. They beat the Nuggets last. They beat the Nuggets. I'm sorry, that's a mistake. They did not beat the Nuggets Sunday. They beat the Nuggets last night. They beat the Thunder Sunday. Celtics beat the Nuggets last night, and it was without Joker. The game was 118-106. Derek White was out with an illness, and so was Joker. He was out with an illness. There's a bug going around. One of my friends have it too. I wish them to get well soon. Jason Tatum, 29 points. Kristaps Porzingis, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 15 in the first quarter. They're a different team with Kristaps Porzingis. He had a big block on DeAndre Jordan. Big block. That would have been a poster. But Kristaps Porzingis, he's looking good. He's in and out the lineup a lot, but when he's in there, the Celtics look good. Drew Holiday, 19 points. Celtics 27-10, still in second place in the East. The Nuggets 20-15. Westbrook had 26. He led the Nuggets. Julian Strawther, 19 points. Michael Porter Jr., 15-10. A year ago, 2 years ago, even last year, this would have been a little bit more hyped up because, one, Joker was out. But it would have been more hyped up. But the Nuggets, they kind of look a little sluggish. They don't have that much depth. They don't have that much shooting. Aaron Gordon was also out of the game. So I think they still have a shot of doing great things in the playoffs. The Nuggets do. But right now, the Celtics are kind of the team to beat, despite the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers are number one in the East. But Celtics look good. They was able to pull out the game. It was a close one in the fourth quarter. And they just showed their championship DNA. I love those type of wins. I know a lot of fans don't like it. They rather prefer blowouts, which the Celtics have a good amount of in this season. But I love when it's like good teams. It's close. They don't panic, or they're down and they don't panic, and they just start to get stops. They hit some threes. They hit some shots. They get buckets going to transition. They get it to their star player. He knocks it down, and then they end up winning by double digits. I love those type of games. It just shows that the championship DNA is in there, because the team that blows out a lot of teams, you're typically sitting there with the lingering thought of what happens when the game slows down and things aren't going their way. And then you start to see a lot of arguments and huddles on the sidelines, timeouts. And it never really goes too well because then it starts to be shown and it's always recorded and it starts to get shown on ESPN, especially during the 7 game series. And it causes little rifts, and you could tell players have shooting slumps. It causes mental breakdowns. But games like these are against good teams. I love. I love them. I know Joker was out, but so is Derek White. It's not the same. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it. Everyone scored. You know, and it was a good one. I mean, the Celtics didn't shoot as well as they usually do. I don't think they put up as much threes as they usually do. They put up like 30 something compared to the 50. But nonetheless, that's what it was. Also, and that capped off their West Coast Western Conference road trip where they go 3-1. Celtics went 3-1 because they lost to the Thunder Sunday, which that was an interesting one. That was a Sunday game where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 33 points, 11 rebounds. That was the game to watch. But the funny part about that one is that's a young team that's playing really well in the West right now. The best team in the West. I don't even think it's a question. Thunder beating 105-92. And has a lot of people think, is this the finals matchup? And I think it can be. And the scary part about the Thunder is I don't think Chet Holmgren's been in and out of the lineup. I don't even know if he played. I don't think he played Sunday. You know, I mean, you could say the same for the Celtics. Celtics have never been in fully healthy with Kristaps Porzingis out, Al Horford out sometimes as well. So like both teams, it's a shame. This is probably the only game they play on the West. For the Celtics, they play probably back at home, but nonetheless, Celtics went 3-1 on the West Coast stand. I think it was a good showing out. I didn't expect them to go 4-0. It's just tough to do that on the road, especially when the reigning champs and everyone's coming for your head. And like winning road games is hard, bro. It's hard. You don't get the same rest when you're sleeping in a hotel bed or an Airbnb bed. Like you don't get the same type of rest. You don't get the same type of energy. It's not the same type of shower. It's not the same type of home cooked meal. It's not the same. Like you're not in the same mental preparation. You know, the same way you do shootouts and I mean not shootouts, shoot around before the game. It's just not the same energy. You gotta get going. It takes a little bit more to get going energy wise, and you know. Sometimes you end up shooting slumps. Sometimes you end up tired, especially for 4 games straight on the road. It's tough, man. It's tough. But the Celtics prevailed 3-1, and I think that's championship basketball. I'm not worried about the loss at all, personally. You know, for a team like the Thunder and how they lost in the NBA Cup, and that game meant a lot more to them than it did for the Celtics. Of course, you would like to see the Celtics show them that they're a little brother. And you would like to see them win and be like, no, you're not here yet. You're not with us yet. But the Thunder are the number one in the West, and probably the favorite to come out of it. I can't say that right now, because I think there are some other teams. I'm not counting out Dallas. I think the Timberwolves have a lot to figure out. I think they make a move before the trade deadline and become one of the best teams in the West, like they did last year. Like they were last year, one of the best teams in the West. So we're gonna have to see. The Celtics play the Kings. They come back home Friday for a couple of games. They play the Kings at home and they play the Pelicans at home on Sunday. So they've got the Kings Friday, Pelicans Sunday at home, both games. It's gonna be interesting. Both teams struggling. Zion Williamson is back. He's made some big dunks, some great dunks, but we're going to have to see. It's going to be a good one. The Kings, I expect it to be a blowout. I hope. Never know in the NBA. Pelicans, I think it should be the same thing, but Zion's back. I think he's got a lot to prove. So I think this is a good way to get back on a winning streak that the Celtics are on before they ran into the Thunder. Right now, they're on 1-game winning streak. Not a streak, but they're on 1-game win. So that's all you got. See y'all next week. I'm going to be more consistent with it. Promise that. We're going to figure it out. And it's Brown Bostonian. Keep checking out for the vlogs. Keep checking out for the YouTube, the blog, brownbostonian.com, everything. I appreciate y'all. Peace.